Someone, including one of you at home right now watching, could walk away with hundreds of millions of dollars.
The pot of gold comes in the form of Mega Millions and Powerball drawings. And Western Mass News reporter Matt Price caught up with some people buying tickets ahead of tonight's drawing.
Are you feeling lucky this St. Patrick's week? It seems some in Western Mass are. That is because there's lots of money at stake, with the jackpots for Mega Millions and Powerball currently at a near total of $1.3 billion. That includes an estimated $735 million Mega Millions drawing Tuesday night.
I feel very lucky. Yes, I feel very lucky.
Usually when it's decent numbers, that's when I'll play it.
Western Mass News stopped by the Pride gas station and market in Chicopee, where several people got their tickets hoping they have the lucky numbers. In fact, this particular station sold a Powerball ticket in 2017 with a winning jackpot of $758.7 million. Now, 7 years later, Springfield resident Shauna Scott and Wilbraham's Edmund Stakowski, who both got one for each game, hope they can make history happen again.
Time sometimes repeats itself. Everything goes in cycles, so it could be my lucky day.
I love this gas station. I do feel like the stars are aligned and it's my turn today. So I do believe it will be me.
Of course, when it comes to trying to win big jackpots in either Powerball or Mega Millions, players tend to use different and sometimes creative strategies.
I usually pick my numbers. Birthdays, kids' ages. Sometimes my dad's date of like his age when he passed. I use those numbers. Yes, those has been fruitful in the past.
I've tried the other way, no better luck than the first way. So random's quicker, easier, and gets the job done. If you win, you win. If you don't, you don't.
And should either Scott or Stakowski hit the jackpot, they already have big plans.
To pay off the kids' loans on their houses, it'd be great.
I would buy a house.
Anything else?
That's it.
That's
I would
it?
buy a house, yes, and move my mother in.
Good luck. In Chicopee, Matt Price, Western Mass News.